What's going on, everybody? Hope everybody's weekend is going good. Today we're going to talk about the SPY and why I think that it's going to go down start next week. Um, Before I get into that, I just want to say that anything in this video is not to be taken as financial advice. Any information that you use in this video to make your own financial decisions is at your own risk. Um, I think that it's better for you to learn how to trade these markets and then just use videos like this, mine and anybody else's, to be a comparison of your own due diligence. With that said, let's get right into this. I was going to erase all these lines off of these charts. I had a ton more, but I wanted to make sure that I got all this information in the video, so I'll just go through it and explain while we go along. So if you saw my previous video, you would have known that I think that this SPY is in the inverse cup and handle. Right here was the first little mini cup and handle that we had, and this yellow line right here was 2/3 of the cup. So in a cup and handle is marked by a rounding top or rounding bottom with a handle that either decreases in price and increases in volume, or decreases in volume and increases in price. As you can see right here, this breakout right here was a decrease in volume, and then it broke out from there, but it failed. In there, I want to take this trend line and bring it down to the base of the cup, or to the mouth of the inverted cup, however you want to look at it. And I want to bring it down here. And as you can see, this measured move out of this cup was this 411 mark, and we actually hit 410, 411 over here. So this failed breakout ended up happening later on down the line right here. After we failed, we broke up into a bigger rounding top, and this time if we take this move right here, this measure move right here to the bottom of this, let's slide this down for right now. We'll come right back to that. But if you're taking a look at this one, 2/3 or 50%, because it has to, the handle has to go 2/3 or 50% of the cup. This time it went 50% of the cup, and I believe 2/3 is 50%, right? Or the 2/3 mark is 50%. So if we got three pieces, we got the top, the middle, the bottom. The two would be the middle. So if I'm saying that correct, this would be that right here. This is where we exactly came to on the move the other day to the 460s, and bounced right off of that and came back down. This right here was our handle breakout on that cup, and this is where we're breaking down at. Now this measure move off of the cup brings us down to, it's a little crooked, straighten that out, brings us down to the 390s. My take on this whole thing was like roughly around 390 or like 395, something like that. This is bringing us down to like 393. We'll see what happens. I've seen other people say that we're going down to like 360s. So for right now, I'm sticking with, we should bounce off of like the 390s before we make any further decisions on where we go next, right? So I'll leave this right here. And I'll make that as our red target right there, right? So let's break down this handle now a little closer to it. But as you can see, this is the daily, and the first day of April, we broke out of this wedge. We got some buying volume underneath of it, but we broke out of the wedge, right? If I come over here and we go down to the 2 hour real quick, we see on the 2 hour that we broke out of the wedge and retested it. Or not, we didn't even retest it yet. We're about to retest the wedge right now. And if we retest the wedge, let's say in the first 2 to 4 hours, retest the wedge, we should end up around 456, 457 area, right? After that second hour, or after the 4th hour, I want to say that we should start going down from there. And my thought process on how that all works out is that we then form this head and shoulders pattern right here. That's going to bring us that'll bring us back down and out. I think this bar right here is take profit from that, or the measured move. And if we put the measured move on here from where I think we'll break out from, we end up around 434. So what I think is going to happen is we bounce up, we retest this wedge, we drop down, and if I slide this up a little more, we end up at like 435. But regardless, I think we break out of this head and shoulders right here. We come down 440, 438. This is a major support area or resistance area, whatever you want to call it. I feel like either we hit these numbers and we bounce, or if we fall right through it, we're going to go from 438 right down to 432. 432 right here, if you can look, is a gap to fill. Right there, 433 to 432. It's a gap to fill, but there's also a gap to fill from 438 to like 436, if I'm not mistaken, on the other side of the map. So once we get into 438, we should run straight down to 432 with no issues. After the 432, I don't know exactly what's going to happen from there. Maybe a couple bounces and then another breakdown. There were a lot of heavy buys on the 410, I believe, for April 14th. So I wouldn't be surprised if that were to come true and we get like a heavy run down to the bottom. But then if we go back to the bigger picture real quick, this is the weekly. Let's take the weekly, and we'll use that as our bigger picture. Let's get rid of this head and shoulders real quick. Then we can look at this now, back to what everybody was talking about, the original head and shoulders, and we can see that this is possibly the next head and shoulders to develop, right? Now, this is where people get the bigger measured move from. So I get the 390 move out of the cup and handle. But then out of this huge head and shoulders with a break around 400, we come all the way down to like the 340s. 350 being a nice little support area, right? So a lot of people don't think that this is going to happen. People think that this is all going to fail. We're going to keep going up. We're going to hit 500. That could be possible. So I just want to leave that on the table, that I'm not foreseeing anything other than what I believe, and I could be wrong. So that's exactly why I say that nothing I say is financial advice. Do your own research, your own homework, and come up with what you think. It would suck to put your money on somebody else's back and then lose it. So always do your own due diligence, man. I could be wrong. So with that said, let's look at these other charts real quick. I know a lot of people are looking at the Russell too, and a lot of people were saying, "Oh well, the Russell is in this huge rising wedge right here," or however they had it drawn. I think they had it drawn more like this. I don't know how they did it, but they had this huge rising wedge, which I don't think is what it was at all. So I think that the Russell made this move right here, made a bear flag. Boom. Flag actually went over to 200. It failed to break out down further. By it failing to break down out further, it kept moving. Bounced off the 200. And when it bounced off the 200, it made this bear flag right here. So this flag is bear flag. And because it's slanting up, I look at it as a bear flag. It tested this bottom 1, 2, 3, 4 times, 5 times before it broke through. It peaked out of here, which means that it failed on continuing to go up. Boom. Now we got this new bear flag right here that it made, right? Came down, flag, dropped again. I'll look at it again, came up, flag, dropped again. Roughly to right where we're saying, right? Let's tighten that up. Flag dropped again, roughly to where we're at, right? So what I see the possibility with this is that worst case scenario, or best case scenario, I should say, it gives us this channel right here. And it drops back down. We could look at it just like this. This drops into this. It doesn't come from the bottom going up into it. It actually comes from the top and drops into it. meaning that this is bearish. If we do a measured move off of it, whenever it drops out, we should be looking for this to drop back down to like 197, which brings us back around this small gap right here. But yeah, that's my thought process on the Russell. I believe that we're going to attempt to break this 200, but it's not going to work, and we'll drop back out of that. Go take a look at the Qs. Qs are in good position. Qs are the top 30 markets in the stock market. I believe before the Qs fall, I believe that'll be the last to fall out of all of them. You know what I mean? This is the top 30 companies in the entire stock market. These companies will hold like some type of value as to how the stock market is going to hold up before break. No, I'm lying. These are the top 100. I'm sorry. This is the top 100. So these right here and the DJIA, before they like totally break down, it'll have some balance to it before these like totally break down. But what I see here, like I saw in the Russell, is a wedge right here, and we already broke out of the wedge. Again, this didn't come from the bottom and fill this ascending wedge up, or yeah, I call it an ascending wedge. It came from the top and filled it down, which means this is a bear move. Hit that up there. Take your profits. We're about to come right back down to this line right here, and I wouldn't be surprised if eventually we just plow through all of this. So in my opinion, that's how I see like what's going on in all these markets. It's looking dark out here. It's not looking good. And now we'll come over to Bitcoin. So the Bitcoin move now. Everybody thinks that Bitcoin is about to skyrocket. But if we could take a look into Bitcoin real quick, we see that this is in a head and shoulders. It failed to break out already up top here. Couldn't get over this 67 mark, 69 mark where we were at. What was it, like November or something like that? Came back down, bounced off the 50, bounced right back up to the 20, peeked through it a little bit, flag down right here. Right here, you got a bear flag in formation. So if we take the flag, pledge our allegiance to it, I guess. Boom. That flag brings us right down here to like 20,000. Just don't worry about this peeking back into the wedge. In order for this to be bullish, we got to peek over the neckline of this head and shoulders, which I doubt is going to happen. So the move is that Bitcoin goes to $50,000, which is right at this neckline, and then it takes a nosedive again. If it goes to the neckline and takes the nosedive, this ends up like around 26 onto this 200. But if we're looking at this wedge right here is the breakout, we could possibly see